No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. We've been talking about this here on the channel. Not really the slow creep of DC Comics into becoming the new Marvel Comics. The fact that DC has certainly sped the train along, and they are catching up and maybe surpassing Marvel very quickly. It feels like we are in the DC now, the all new, all different DC era. And I guess that's kind of complete today. We finally have confirmation on something I covered, I don't know, a couple months back. The rumors, and those did come from Ethan Van Sciver, that Jon Kent would be outed as gay or bisexual in the not too distant future. Now, there have been a few times that EVS has broken rumors, and I've covered them on the channel and said that doesn't really make sense. When I covered this one, I couldn't refute it. I was like, well, if we see what DC Comics are doing, when you see what happened to Tim Drake, we see what happened to Alan Scott, we see that Tom Taylor, the guy that destroys everything at Marvel, is over at DC with the reins off, where he can basically do whatever he wants, has carte blanche to destroy other people's characters, was on the character. And then we knew a couple of days later he was going to be meeting a young man with pink hair and a dashing personality. It was quite obvious that it was highly likely that Jon Kent would be outed as gay or bisexual in the not too distant future. I said, I think by issue number 5, we will probably see that happen. And I was right on track. It is Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 5. It was broken exclusively through IGN that the new Superman, because Clark Kent isn't on Earth anymore, he's gone to Warworld, joined with the Authority. Ugh, I don't even want to talk about that. But he's coming out as bisexual, and he shares his first kiss with Jay Nakamura, that dashing pink-haired stud that is so into his mom. He just left him in the dust. The good thing is John has already introduced his new boyfriend to his mother, and I think Jay might have some powers or something. It's something stupid. He's supposed to be a YouTuber, but he's also a refugee. Or they're doing so many stupid, cringy political things in Superman, Son of Kal-El. It's actually hard to keep up with. But Jon Kent is blazing a path, just like Tim Drake, Alan Scott, Bobby Drake, and other characters before him who had canonically been straight, but now have been changed to be LGBTQ plus representatives. And you're saying, Wes, you don't know that Jon Kent's straight. He's only 17 years old. Well, I do know. We've seen him kiss Saturn Girl. They were certainly in a very young but loving relationship. He also had a nice little girlfriend before he got aged up and destroyed by Brian Michael Bendis. So this kind of completes the transformation to all new, all different DC Comics. Now we have Superman, because Clark Kent's gone, is now Jon Kent, bisexual or gay. I'm not really sure yet. We've got Batman, because Bruce Wayne is leaving Gotham City to Jace Fox. So we now have a black Batman. He could be bisexual as well. They have not confirmed that or denied that yet. Although it has been hinted, I believe, that he has a former love interest. But we know in DC Comics that doesn't mean anything. You could be banging girls your whole entire life. It just means you're gay, right? None of that stuff matters. Gay dudes bang chicks all the time. Well, obviously, Wonder Woman, Diana Prince did just return. She's canonically bisexual, but you've also got the Wonder Woman in training R4, so we got a nice Latina Wonder Woman. As far as the Green Lantern Corps, the primary lanterns right now are JoJo Mullins in Teen Lantern, black and Latina. Obviously, we do have Jackson Hyde ascending to the mantle of Aquaman, black and gay. So we've got plenty of representation. No more of these square-ass white straight characters. Screw those guys. We're going to replace them all. We're going to get some diversity in here and replace the whole lineup. Now, we've seen in the past that this did not work very well for Marvel Comics. In fact, their marketing guy, David Gabriel, had to come out and he was like, yeah, people will not buy this stuff. And there's nothing we can do about it. Then he got all this like pressure and he had to come out and be like, that's not what I meant. You're reading into what I said, when it was quite clear what he was saying. So if you've been watching the channel or if you've been reading Superman, son of Kal-El, you will find it no surprise whatsoever that Jon and Jay Nakamura will be having their first kiss right there in that issue. I imagine by issue number 7, they will be playing tummy sticks in a nice double-page spread, right? We got to show off what's going on there. And, of course, I don't know. Shouldn't Jay like be in a relationship with Lois since he's actually in love with her? That was such a weird thing. But, yeah, there's the kiss. This is what Tom Taylor, resident character ruiner. He's done it. He did it all at Marvel Comics. He ruined all the great characters. He ruined X-Men, Wolverine, anything he put his hands on. Spider-Man. Oh, go read Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. You get some really weird stuff going on there. This is what he had to say about his version of Jon Kent, Superman. Over the years in this industry, it probably won't surprise you to hear that I've had queer characters and storylines rejected. Well, perhaps they were bad storylines. I've read so many of your comics at Marvel, and they were all terrible. The one thing you've ever done that was good was Deceased. I guess maybe Injustice. People seem to like that. I'll say Deceased was good. You've had a couple of decent issues of Nightwing. You haven't had a damn good issue of Superman, son of Kal-El yet. So I imagine a lot of your fucking storylines are rejected with any type of adult supervision, i.e. a halfway competent editor. He continues. I felt like I was letting down people I loved every time this happened. Like you were letting down your mom and like your family when your shitty storylines got rejected. That's a weird thing to think, bro. But we are in a very different and much more welcome place today than we were 10 or even 5 years ago. When I was asked if I wanted to write a new Superman with a new number 1 for the DC universe, I knew replacing Clark with another straight white savior could be a real missed opportunity. I've always said everyone needs heroes and everyone deserves to see themselves in their heroes. Today, Superman, the strongest superhero on the planet, is coming out. Wow. Just can we give Tom Taylor a fucking slow cap? Because that's what he's doing this for, right? He's doing it for the Twitter backclaps and all the social media clout. You, Tom, are a champion of the people, going and taking other people's works that have been canonically established as far as the sexuality and just changing it at your own whim. What a fucking champion of the people. Never mind anybody that's an actual Jon Kent or Superman fan that have been reading and paying their hard-earned money. Hey, if you want to go read all the issues of Super Sons or anything with Jon Kent, and it's going to cost you a whole lot of money. There are people that have invested hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in this character. But that does not matter to one Tom Taylor, because it's time we all saw somebody or a hero in themselves, as if there have never been gay superheroes at DC Comics. Oh my goodness. One of my favorite lines in this article from IGN is the comparison that they make between this relationship, Jay Nakamura and Jon Kent, and the classic Lois Clark Kent dynamic of their relationship. I guess because Jay's a fucking YouTuber. He's the equivalent of a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist that in many ways is presented as more powerful than Clark Kent sometimes nowadays. This is what Tom Taylor said, because he ain't fucking having it. Jay has his own fight. He's obviously an effective journalist, and Lois Lane is his hero. But Jay is also a refugee from Gomorrah, so his experience also reflects Clark's. While this has fortunately changed over the years, historically, Lois has often fulfilled a damsel role. Jay Nakamura will never be that. He and Jon will tackle many things side by side. Oh, I bet they'll be tackling many things side by side. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. Why can't Jay Nakamura be a fucking damsel in distress if it was good enough for Lois Lane? I thought we were going for equality here. Why can't Jay Nakamura be a damsel? Is it because he's a man? Is it because he's a gay man? He can't be a damsel in distress as a plot device to motivate Jon Kent or put him in a position where he has to make a decision and potentially let the bad guy get away so we can save the love of his life, Jay Nakamura? My goodness. How about some equality in here, Tom Taylor? My goodness. They're going to be They're going to be tackling so many things side by side. All right. Oh my goodness. So some of you are probably wondering, this feels like it was going to be a pretty big change as far as the character. The FOC was already passed, right? Give me a sec. I want to make sure. Technically, this issue comes out on November 9th, so the FOC might not pass because it's DC. I'm not sure if they're at 30 days like Marvel. They're still at 23 days like they used to be. But there are other reasons. This is obviously just a publicity stunt, which is a lot of what DC, Marvel do when they have these big coming out stories. You get some big articles, and then the character never does anything. They, it ends up being not all that big a deal. We're never going to see Tim Drake again. He was supposed to be a big part of Fear State. Have you seen that fucking character? I ain't seen him. Alan Scott. I think he was in that obscure, like a few appearances in that stupid Infinite Frontier miniseries. Haven't heard from him anywhere else. Now, Jon Kent does have his own comic book, so I imagine it'll be a little bit more important to this, and we'll be seeing the two canoodle every once in a while. But this is a publicity stunt to garner interest in news coverage for DC Comics. That's why they released it out before readers could actually discover it in the comic book. They also want this to be a collector's item. This is the first time that Jon Kent has kissed another man. This thing is going to be a collectible. So they want to gin up the interest in all this stuff. And the big thing, the real reason that you do something like this, if you're DC Comics or if you're Marvel and stuff, is you need to pre-shield the comic and the writer from the criticism. So now that they know that there's a man-on-man, well, really a boy-on-boy kiss, I think they're both still teenagers, that there's a young man-on-young man kiss in this comic book, you can't say anything bad about it. If I came out and I did a negative review on Superman Son of Kal-El #5, I would be a bigot. It doesn't matter what the quality of the story is or how well or how poorly Tom Taylor wrote the story. You must love it. Otherwise, you must hate gay people. You must hate bisexual people. You hate lesbians if you don't like this comic book. That's the Reddit, and that's the times that we're in. Obviously, I don't give a fuck about that. I'll say whatever I want. If the comic book is good, I'll say the comic book's good. If the comic book sucks balls, like most of Tom Taylor's work outside of Deceased, I'll call it what it is. A spade is a spade in my book. So they can try and pre-shield Superman Son of Kal-El #5 from criticism. And it's not going to work for me, and it's not going to work for a lot of the other YouTubers that are critics of the comic book industry. But it won't stop them from trying. And you go out there, just say a negative word. You're Tevye Smoker, one of the nicest people I've ever seen. He said specifically, there's no way Jon Kent can be gay because he's the biggest Jon Kent fan in the world, and he's read every comic book with the character. Well, it turns out you were wrong. You better not go out on social media and say anything about that, because that will make you a bigot, sir. It doesn't matter if you're a minority yourself. It doesn't matter if you're a marginalized person yourself. That will make you a bigot. Whatever. Pre-shield yourself from all this criticism all you want. Tom Taylor's Superman Son of Kal-El has been an absolute abomination from the very fucking first issue. I called it right here. I said, hey, he's fundamentally destroying the character of Superman and turning him into a fascist and basically spouting out his own political statements. And then when we got the information from EVS, I looked at it, it's like, absolutely, this is plausible. Not only is it plausible, it is highly likely that is in fact what is actually going to happen. And it turns out it was the case. Is this a good change? I don't know. It's a fucking change. It feels like the same thing happening over and over and over. And hey, whatever, man. This is why you do not, whatever you do not emotionally invest yourself in any of these characters, whether it be Marvel or DC. It doesn't matter that Dan Jurgens created Jon Kent and wrote the story about him, and that there are things about Jon Kent that are essentially set in stone. That doesn't matter because Tom Taylor can come along, the new flavor of the month, and he can just change everything. And it doesn't matter what the creators intended for the character to represent. It doesn't matter what the canonical history of the character is. If it serves the needs and interests of the writer and the publisher, they will change the character. It doesn't matter if you love the character. It doesn't matter if it's your favorite character. It doesn't matter if you've invested in and read every single issue of that character. DC and Marvel and their hack writers, led by Tom Taylor, who's absolutely a character destroyer, will change anything they want to make a social statement, to make a political statement. And so they can have the ammunition to call you a bigot just for criticizing the quality of their work. Don't do it. If you go out there and you invest yourself heavily or emotionally in one of these characters, you are going to get kicked square in the uterus or the balls, depending on what gender you are, or whatever it is. If you're the one of the other genders, apparently there's more than two nowadays. I think that's the biggest lesson learned in all of this. Do not fall in love with DC Comics. Do not fall in love with Marvel Comics. They will never love you back. They will never respect you. They will never respect the characters. They don't respect the history, and they don't respect the creators behind them. And that's what we're seeing nowadays. I want to know how you guys feel. Am I a bigot? Am I completely wrong? Am I overreacting? Am I underreacting? There's got to be something. We all have to have an emotional response to this. Otherwise, they won't be getting what they want. That's the reason they released this in the first place. So it'll be a big deal. People have reactions to it. Well, you got me. Hook, line, and sinker. You got your reaction. Who gives a fuck? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.